it's me. Welcome to traffic. So, somebody asked me the other day, what is it that actually scares you? Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that scare me. I get scared of lots of different things in the world. But, what was the scariest experience? Well, not the scariest experience, because I've had several of those. But, what are one of the things that always triggers my dolls. Dolls scare, well, they don't scare me, and it's not like every doll, but it's like there's certain dolls that, oh, hell no, put it in the fire. When I was 5 years old, no, I was 7 years old, my grandmother gave me this ventriloquist dummy. She knew that I was into magic, and I actually knew how to do magic tricks, and I was learning all these magic tricks when I was growing up because I wanted to be a magician. I wanted to be a female magician when I was growing up as a little kid. I had these magic sets where they would tie you up with the knots and you would undo it, and I would go into the kitchen every day, Mom, tie me up, and she's like, this is my child. Sure, and she'd throw me in the closet, and like 2 minutes later I'm out, like, magic roll. I would pick handcuffs and things like that when I was growing up. So yeah, I know things. I when I was really young, not really young, but when I was like in my late teens, early 20s, my uncle taught me how to pick locks and how to get through certain types of old combination safes. Long time ago. I can't do that now because my ears are jacked, and not to mention I sucked at it. But I knew how to do it if I had to. He also taught me how to get into a car with a coat hanger. But I digress. My grandmother bought me for my 7th birthday, or was it Christmas? No, it was my 7th birthday, a ventriloquist dummy. At this time, there was another movie that had come out. It was a horror movie in the 70s called Magic, which had a commercial with a ventriloquist dummy on it. And I'm like, oh, good God. I came down one morning on a Saturday morning, getting ready to watch my Saturday morning cartoons, and this commercial for this ventriloquist dummy for this movie Magic was so scary that they could only show it. True story. In California, they could only show, there were so many complaints by parents, they could only show this commercial during Saturday Night Live. This is telling you the time period we're dealing with here. So, I'm getting ready to watch my cartoons. Saturday morning, watching my cartoons in my terry cloth Miss Piggy outfit. My Miss Piggy nightgown. And I've got my hair up. And I've got my Barbie booties on. And I've got my, Fozzie Bear bowl. And Miss Piggy, was it my Smurf spoon? I can't remember. Either a Miss Piggy spoon or a Smurf spoon or a Kermit or whatever spoon. And I've got my Fruit Loops right there. Well, actually, no. I liked Cocoa. No, what was it? It's the ones that are like little puffs. So they're these little, with a porcupine. I can't remember what they were. They weren't Cocoa Puffs, but they were something puffs. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm just nomming away, having a lovely time watching my cartoons, and for some reason that day my doll was downstairs and it was underneath a bunch of stuff. And now what I didn't know on the couch is that my foot was under the pillow on the couch, and the ventriloquist dummy was down on the couch, because I sure as hell did not want that up in my bedroom, because it creeped me out, because it's a ventriloquist dummy. Just look at it. I mean, come on. And my pinky toe got caught on the ring of the pulley thing to make the mouth talk, right? Because you pull the thing and the mouth does this, and then the eyes do that. And for some reason, during my cartoons, the commercial came on for this spooky movie during Saturday morning. Somebody screwed up over at the station, I guess. And when I saw the commercial with the doll on it talking by itself, doing all that, I freaked out. And my toe was caught on this freaking ring, and when I saw the commercial, I looked down at the couch going, okay, if I just don't look at it, it'll go away. And as I'm looking away from it and I hear the part, I cringed and my toe moved, and I'm looking at the ventriloquist dummy and its mouth starts to move, and I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, ah! And I go and I start running out of the TV room, and because it's wrapped around my toe, it's following me. Ah! Oh my God, I'm gonna die. And I'm like running away from this thing following me. I'm shrieking like a banshee on crack. My mother comes running down going, what the heck is going on? And I'm, by this point, running outside of the house with this thing following me. I can't shut the door. It's following me around my foot because I'm just not with it. I'm done. And my mom is trying to calm me down like, what the hell? And so I am in the middle of the road outside of our house, shrieking with this ventriloquist dummy trailing behind me. And finally, my mom just kind of calmed me down. She's like, look, it's okay. I'm not going back in there. I'm not coming back with this thing. So we ended up throwing it away. And probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because after that, I never wanted to look at another ventriloquist dummy ever again. Flash forward 25 years. I was living, again, with my mother. I was living in Kewanee, Illinois, while I took a break from California for about 6 years. I had to get away for a little while just to clear my head and smell fresh air and see green, like real green. So what ended up happening is that I went to where my mom was born and raised and grew up in, is Kewanee, Illinois. And we had a 4-floor house. We had a basement to attic house and 2 floors. And this thing was packed. We had so much stuff. And I had a basset hound. His name was George. And I would give George a walk every day. And when I first moved into the town, I didn't notice anything kind of spooky, kind of weird, kind of until one night there's this pink Victorian house on one of the streets that I would walk George Louis McDuff, which was the name of my basset hound. I would walk my dog in front of this big, huge, old, antique, faded pink Victorian house. Okay, spooky ooky house. Okay, I'm used to that. So my big thing was, hold on. Sorry about that. My partner called and we talked about ice cream for a few minutes. Anyway, sorry about that. So flash forward, I had to walk my basset hound George up past this big old spooky Victorian pink house. This thing was antique Victorian pink. It looked like it was falling apart. Pieces of roof were falling down. But people were living in it. There was a person living in it, actually. And they had this big stained glass, falling apart, kind of elegantly wasted looking bay window. Like one of those ones you would sit and read library books or something like that in front of, type of big window kind of thing, in a turret kind of thing. And there was a rocking chair in front of this window. That would have been fine and well and good, except there was this doll. Now this was in 99, 2000, up to 2005, okay? So this was before the spooky booky doll movies, okay? There was this doll, a porcelain doll, that was very, very lifelike looking, okay? It was a boy, ironically a boy, and it didn't faze me at first, okay? It didn't faze me at first, like, oh, it's a doll, okay, whatever. Now, bear in mind, you know from what I've told you, I don't like ventriloquist dummies. I've kind of gotten over that, but, you know, thank you, Jeff Dunham. But inanimate objects that have a life of their own, I'm like, I don't dig that. And so, one evening. It wasn't even night. It was evening, like dusk. And kind of like now. It's like almost 8 o'clock here. And I was walking past with George, the basset hound, on the sidewalk where this big Victorian house was, and this window wide open with the red tassels, well, the gold tassels, red curtains. It was Victorian, okay? And the doll was just staring out blankly, looking at nothing, which is, that's where it was, that's what it did, that's tra-la-la. And to this day, okay, to this day, I distinctly remember walking past this house, past this doll, and in the corner of I'm walking past it, like peripheral vision, I swear, and I had to pull George one way because the basset hound was going one way and I was going the other way, and then I swore in my peripheral that it did this, okay, it looked like it flippin' moved, its head just moved and looked at me and did this. And I'm like, that didn't happen. That, no. You're letting your brain do your brain thing and running away with you, tra-la-la. And I was like, you're being weird. And as I looked up, its head was no longer tilted from when I looked away the first time, but it was still standing perfectly still. But different than the way that I had seen it. Now, there was nobody in the house. The little old lady that owned the house, she wasn't there. There was nobody else there at the time. It was just the doll, okay? There was no kids in there playing tricks, nothing like that, okay? In fact, I find out that the lady who owned I think that she owned the house or rented the house or whatever, but she was a doll maker of some sort, or a crafter of some sort, and she had actually lost a child. So when I saw the movie The Doll, I'm sitting there talking to my friends going, dude, I lived this. Dude, I lived this. Dude. So I don't know the whole ordeal. I don't care to know the ordeal about the lady. I didn't care about the house. I didn't care about any of that. I just know doll head moved. We're not walking down this part of the street anymore with my basset hound. We would go all the way around. I said, nope, we're not doing that. So, you asked me what my fears were. Congratulations, that's just one of them. I have many phobias and many fears. But you asked me what one of my spooky experiences was, because I had to double check. I had to triple check that. Because I actually took a friend with me, and I was like, okay, you look at the creepy doll head and what do you see? Did that head just move? I was like, thank you, and check please. I had to double confirm it with friends of mine, because I'm not crazy. But you know, I sometimes let my imagination run wild, like most people. But I not this time. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's not think about that since the sun has set and it's getting dark and spooky. On that note, bye.